Hello everybody. This is our third get together. Simon and I are feeling the resonance to be able to do something weekly, and this time we have a beautiful guest, Mello. Welcome, Mello.
Hello everybody. Wonderful to be a part of it all.
So we've got a retreat coming up, and Mello reached out. Actually, we've been friends for quite a few years, and he said he really resonated with it and would also like to run some sessions. So very excited. Just a little intro. Mello and I met when I was living at the back of Byron Bay. I was helping save an organic market garden. Mello was our main market gardener because he's heavily involved with the Mullumbimby organic gardens, and not only is he an amazing gardener, but I noticed he was like the gardener of the hearts. He was able to hold the love with people together, and we were getting new people very interested, and then there was conflicts and people maybe wanting to take over and people not feeling like they wanted to do anything and taking lots of energy. So there's a lot of interesting dynamics going on, and Mello was this beautiful calm one and loving one, and I just really admired that. And I had some challenges at the time. It was over 7 years ago, and I felt like I was being triggered and dealing with my stuff, and he was always just that solid person, and I really respect him for that. And also I feel really honored that he still felt something about me and wanted to reach out and felt a resonance with this retreat. So thank you, Mello, for reaching out. I feel very honored. What does Ascension mean for you? Why is it so important for you at the moment?
Well, it's important for everyone because the planet is changing in frequency. The human resonance is changing exponentially. As the Mayans predicted or prophesied more accurately, this is the end of time, which means pretty much all of the great cycles of time coming to a conclusion. The cycles of time, the principal one really that we perhaps understand is the transition from Pisces, two fish swimming in opposite directions of the duality systems, into Aquarius, represented by water, one unity consciousness. So the challenges that are taking place on planet Earth are related to frequency, to the frequency changes. Humans are being asked to step up to a higher level of consciousness, a higher level of frequency. And people are making choices. The geopolitical situation is not an isolated situation. It is related to this story. It is related to our galactic history. So really, it's a time to look into yourself very deeply and to work with the Ascension protocols, which is what I teach. And in another sense that we can describe it as moving the center of consciousness from the head into the heart. For me, that's a physical journey, and that's what I teach. So when you're relocated in the heart, the center of consciousness is there, the locus of consciousness, as the yogis call it, then you're connected to universal knowledge, and you're automatically in service. You can't enter the heart unless you're in service, unless you're clear. You've cleared the way, removing the samskaras, removing blockages, integrating the shadow elements of yourself. So it's a very personal internal journey in which you're creating space for the energy to move, but particularly for the nervous system to be able to handle the incoming energies, which are increasing and causing chaos with the systems we've known for so long. And now with the awakening, realize that they were systems of control and domination. So, it's a big moment. It's a long moment, but it's a big moment in terms of our journey, the human journey on this planet.
Beautifully said. What about you, Mello? Love to hear your perspective on it. For you?
Well, of course, unity consciousness means that he and I sing the same song because we're coming from the heart. And the beautiful, really beautiful thing about this is that the heart field is much greater than that of the head. And when one does the work to release the fears, to release the traumas, to release old patterns, old ways of self-polluting, you naturally aspire to eat fresh, vital, clean, pure, organic food because nothing else sits right in your belly. because your heart is wise intuitively. You don't have to think about, should I do this or should I do that? If it doesn't feel right, you just cannot do that anymore. Or if you choose to, you'll have a very difficult time. And this is what I really love about your reference to that farm. I just intended for that property because there were so many people coming and sharing, enjoying it, being a part of the work there. I called it by intention to become a space of love. And a couple of years down the track, there was a woman who was one of the people whose mother had been in bed for 2 years with Lyme's disease. And she said, Mum, you've got to go to this place. You've got to feel it. I can't get out of bed. I couldn't. What would I go to? You just have to go. She turned up, and she's a Spanish woman. She's passionate. She comes down the driveway and says, oh my God, my daughter was right. This place feels magical. I can feel the love here. Well, now we've done that with the Mulham Community Garden. That's 5 acres of all sorts of plants and spaces and people. And we had an event recently where there was beautiful yoga and a really powerful meditation that I want to teach at the retreat. And people after that are saying that whole place, you can feel the love there now. And this is the key to the ascension. Those of us who are the way showers who became aware a long time ago, I started meditating, 50 years ago. Coming into the heart is to share that vibration. We can explain it, but that's listened to in the head. What I feel I'm able more and more to do now is to, with words and with actions, help people to feel their own heart awakening to the great joys of we are all aspects of the one divine consciousness. The whole illusion of separation. I like this person, but I don't like that person. It's all over. That's the great joy of ascension, is that we can come to that point of letting go of the fear generated by separation. Our ego is a device of the body-mind complex to help itself survive the fear of feeling alone and disconnected. When you come into the heart, you don't need an ego anymore. It's not about I'm important, but that person isn't. It's about what ails you, sister? How can I help you? Life becomes incredibly beautiful because it's not about having lots of stuff to make yourself feel whole. It doesn't work anyway. And when you let go of all of that, you let go of the fear, then you can enter the heart. And the heart calls to itself other loving hearts. It gives you the capacity to be so compassionate that your greatest joy, as Simon was saying, is to serve the ascension process. That's it.
So I completely concur with everything Melissa said, and through our own experience of sitting in groups on powerful places, on the vortexes, on the song lines, and of course Stradbroke Island has a great Lemurian sensibility. It's a very powerful place. And being together there, our growth can be exponential. We can, through our heart contact, through the harmonic we create, we're not only helping ourselves, we're helping the planet, we're helping others, we're creating a wave, a sine wave of a higher consciousness. It's the best way to bring yourself into the fifth dimension, is to be in the harmonic of the group, to be in the symbiosis of sharing. Someone does the cooking naturally. Nothing needs to be asked. I've done it once, twice with retreats. It's such a beautiful thing when people drop into that space. And that's the model for the world we are going into.
Yeah, I love to bring people together. In our Māori culture, we have whare nui. It's entering into the womb of creation, and hospitality, manakitanga we call it. So I would like to, in the background, my mum was someone who used to make the flowers for our gatherings, and hundreds of people sometimes. So I hope I can just bring that sense of supporting the creation of this so that we can have beautiful people run some amazing sessions. And I love the idea that it's co-created and it's not us running something for people. It's we come, we cook together, we do things together, and we go to the beach together and we have snoozes together. Who knows? It's something so magical about people coming together. So that's what's important to me. Yeah, one thing in my culture, being a Māori background in New Zealand, is the elders. Now, I think you two are both the most youthful people I've met. So I don't know, in terms of age, but it's more the wisdom that comes from experience and from getting to that point where you just know. And 7 years ago when I met Mello, I was so dedicated to this feeling in me that I wanted to bring about peace, and yet I hadn't realized it has to start from within. What do we feel this retreat or this concept? So we'll have one on North Stradbroke Island, but these videos are timeless because we can have another one in another place. Mello has met amazing people in South America, and we were thinking Hawaii. Who knows where we'll be? So the new Earth Dreaming vision, it is actually a baby that can be birthed in many places. So watch the space. But what is it to you, Simon?
Well, we do it every week. As you know, we have our mini retreat on a Sunday when we go for a walk and sit on country and listen. The medicine is in the unconditional listening to one another. And once you're in the heart, there is no competition. There is no need of an opinion, really. You either know or you don't know. You're connected. In tribal times, indigenous times, everyone was connected through the heart. They all knew who they were, their role. And the uncles and aunts would say to them, "Oh, you're a hunter, you're a poet, you're a peacekeeper." So they knew which ray they'd come on, which energy they were bringing to the planet, and that was understood by the group. Everyone had their own discipline, their own magic, and so when we sit in the group and we're in the heart, there's no need to push yourself forward. It's just evolving naturally. The heart doesn't have an opinion. It's not an egoic based. The heart has 40,000 brain cells, which are universally connected. And it's a very different experience. And there's still this vacillation between the heart and the head for quite a long time because we're still experiencing the third dimension stroke fourth dimension of the planet. So that interaction takes place. But more and more, there's a sort of crossover point where you really enter the heart. My interest is really in the protocols of Ascension, teaching people how to release things through the proper use of prayer, dance, qigong, all of those things, so that we can move the energy through the systems of the body, the song lines of the body, the meridians of the body, become a clear vessel, as Mello described, eating good food, green, vibrant, alive food, all of those things. But there is an order to that, and so that's really my main interest, is to convey those aspects. The Ascension protocols, meditation, the journey into the heart, aligning the Merkaba, opening the third eye. But basically, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. You just have to be willing to commit to a small amount of discipline to make that journey. And many people are. We're seeing it now. And it's a beautiful, I'm just glad to be of some service at this time in that way.
I'll just say before I pass it over to you, Mello, that I have never wanted to follow anyone. So I feel like some of the people who seem to be coming to our group are people who are quite strong in what they are about, and yet we can all support each other rather than someone tell us. So we're all learning from each other. And so it doesn't look like it's gathering hundreds and hundreds of people, but that's not what we're after. It's a person feeling it, being drawn to it, rather than, oh my gosh, that person knows so much and now I've got to go and learn from that person, which is what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot of people following still. So if we could provide a retreat to facilitate the chance for someone to find their own heart connection to their own purpose, even if it's just 10 15 people, that's enough for me.
Well, as you said, it's not about the numbers so much as the frequency. You know, that's what makes the difference, is the consciousness. And so that affects a lot of people. So,
yeah, you could just be one person and affect hundreds of people indirectly. Over to you, Mello. What about you? What attracted you to the retreat?
Well, I must just say, I've been a party to creating retreats on this sort of a process for many years. I had a dear friend back in Adelaide. We lived together for a while. And yes, we had a number of different people putting on different gifts that they brought. Everybody brought a different dish to the thing, so they didn't have to pay a lot of money to be a part of it, to encourage people to be there. We got up to 56 people one time, and we had two big characters who had their entourage. And it was very difficult because it obscured the wholeness into his camp and her camp. And the two of us who were organizing it were very hectic. We decided to keep it at 30 maximum, because then you can have times to have real intimacy between each person there. The other part of what I want to really bring here is that I do crystal resonance therapy work where I align people with their energy system to raise up to the frequency of the crystals. And when all of that is working, then they are open to receive, and happily this particular vehicle can connect to the higher self of that person. And so they receive information from their own higher self. This is just the device that's used for that purpose. So that has led to me having very intimate connection to my three guides. And they have been channeling now through me for the last 18 months. We're up to something like 120 channelings. And a lot of that is where these meditations I want to share come from. But also, one of the key things they talk about is that there is actually only one conscious being experiencing everything. There is no separation. There is no other. And this, of course, has been taught by many wise beings over the centuries. When you give yourself that koan to play with, there is no other, and walk down George Street, and there's all those apparent others everywhere, all doing their own thing, and you just keep feeling to yourself, we are all part of the one conscious field. So then, when a small group come together and become cohesive in heart and mind aligned to the divine, we literally create a pyramid of energy, which then goes on persisting and radiating its field for many, many years to come. I've done healing of places where massacres occurred, and 200 years later, the trauma is still there. Often the beings are still there, to need to be liberated. When you create a conscious field of love in unity, that is what we actually do by coming together for your walks and your sharings, for doing the big dance things that I'm a part of every Sunday. I actually gather up the energy at the end of that dance into a crystalline form and consciously put it into the field. Rather than have 80 people's liberation going everywhere, it becomes a point of light. It persists. We can all contribute to that, to assist this whole. We are creating lighthouses, literally, in the etheric field for those who are starting to wake up to get an idea of where to go, so they feel supported. Even on a Wednesday night when they're lying in bed alone and the partner left and didn't work out, and they can call in that divine conscious presence, which some of us are now able to help create. This is the great beauty of coming together in ceremony, in practice. And those who are afraid, who are kind of, it's all a bit too new and I'm not really sure, can feel a sense of support, real support, a tacit support, not just an ideology. You have to do this and that to get there. They feel held in the arms of love by people across the other side of the room. This is what is eternal. This is the godliness, and this is the great joy of Ascension, because we are creating a field, and this has never happened before, to ascend while still in the body. This is absolutely profound for the whole of consciousness, that a set of beings can rise up while still in the flesh and exist in the fifth dimensional form. We are profound beings doing great work. Well, I'm feeling my heart is wide open with incredible joy to be taking part in all of this, because so much of the time I feel it, I know it, it's the truth, but there are only certain numbers of people who are open to hearing it. So calling other people to be a part of this together is what makes this sort of activation so profound, because then other people can walk away carrying in their hearts the knowledge that they're not alone, that they are supported, that they're stepping into a life which is so much more profound than anything that they've experienced so far. That's what I'm so happy to be a part of.
Oh,
Yes, I concur with that, absolutely. And, you know, from our own experience of doing this with groups of people, there's an acceleration in the group, you know, by sitting in a circle together and interacting from the heart, creating the harmonic, you can grow. And it's sharing that experience with the group.
wow. So thank you so much, Mello, and thank you to you, Simon. What a conversation, Ascension, and, you know, what brought us to bringing about this retreat.